Listen to me and listen carefully. The world will tell you to be kind. They'll tell you to be gentle, to always smile, to never upset anyone. But I'm here to tell you this: don't be kind. Now, before you judge those words, let me explain. Kindness, as it's often pushed on us, can make you weak. You get so focused on pleasing others, so caught up in being liked, that you lose your edge. You sacrifice your ambition, your truth, your strength just to fit in. And that's not kindness, that's surrender. I'm not saying to be cruel. I'm not saying to walk around with bitterness in your heart. But you've got to be firm. You've got to stand tall. You've got to be strong in who you are and what you believe. Too many of us have been taught to shrink ourselves to make others feel comfortable. We lower our voice when we should be speaking up. We hold back when we should be pushing forward. And all in the name of kindness. Kindness, in its purest form, is one of the most beautiful qualities a person can possess. It's a force that can heal, uplift, and bring people together. We've all been taught from an early age to be kind, to offer a smile, to lend a helping hand, to think of others before ourselves. But here's the hard truth: the way kindness is often pushed on us, especially in today's world, can make you weak. And not weak in the sense of lacking physical strength, but weak in the deeper, more dangerous way of losing your core self. When we talk about kindness, what exactly do we mean? For many, it's about being agreeable, accommodating, and pleasant. It's about avoiding conflict, making sure everyone is happy, and ensuring that no one feels uncomfortable. But the question is, at what cost? When you are constantly trying to make sure everyone around you is comfortable, are you sacrificing your own comfort? Are you bending over backward to fit into the mold that others have created for you? Let's be honest. The world is full of demands. People want you to be something for them: a friend, a worker, a support system, a person who doesn't challenge them too much. And in the name of kindness, too many of us fall into the trap of becoming exactly what others want us to be while losing sight of who we are. Kindness in this sense becomes less about genuine compassion and more about self-erasure. You start to disappear behind the smiles and the yes answers. You start to lose your voice because you're too busy making sure everyone else's voices are heard. Think about the times you've been overly kind. Maybe it was at work, where you took on extra projects even though your plate was already full because you didn't want to seem difficult or uncooperative. Or maybe it was in a relationship, where you kept quiet about something that bothered you because you didn't want to stir the pot. In those moments, what did kindness get you? Sure, it may have avoided immediate conflict. It may have kept the peace for a while. But over time, that kind of kindness chips away at your strength. It makes you soft in places where you need to be strong. Kindness can also create a false sense of obligation. You start to feel that it's your responsibility to make everyone else feel good. That's a heavy burden to carry because no matter how hard you try, you can't please everyone. But the more you try, the more you lose yourself. You lose your fire. You lose your edge. And in a world that will challenge you, test you, and sometimes knock you down, that edge is exactly what you need to survive. It's important to understand that being kind and being strong are not mutually exclusive. You can be both. But there's a difference between kindness that comes from a place of strength and kindness that comes from a place of fear. The latter is what makes you weak. When you're kind because you're afraid of confrontation, afraid of rejection, or afraid of being disliked, you're not being kind, you're being compliant, you're letting fear dictate your actions, and that's where the weakness creeps in. There's another problem with being overly kind. People will take advantage of it. If you're always accommodating, always saying yes, always putting others before yourself, people will start to expect it. They'll begin to see your kindness not as a gift, but as something they're entitled to. And once that happens, they'll keep taking and taking, and you'll keep giving and giving until there's nothing left. This isn't about blaming others for taking advantage. It's about recognizing that you've set the stage for it by not setting boundaries. Boundaries are crucial. They are the lines that define where your kindness ends and where your self-respect begins. Without boundaries, kindness becomes a one-way street, and you're the one doing all the giving, all the sacrificing. Setting boundaries doesn't make you unkind, it makes you wise. It shows that you understand the value of your time, your energy, and your well-being. It shows that you respect yourself enough to say, this is where I draw the line. So what does it mean to be kind without being weak? It means being compassionate, but not a pushover. It means helping others, but not at the expense of your own well-being. It means knowing when to say yes and when to say no. It means having the courage to speak your truth, even if it makes others uncomfortable. It means standing firm in your convictions, even when it's easier to go along with the crowd. True kindness comes from a place of strength. It's about giving to others, but not giving away parts of yourself. It's about being empathetic, but not losing your own sense of direction. When you are kind from a place of strength, you don't bend to the will of others. You don't let their needs and expectations dictate your life. You are firm in who you are, and because of that, your kindness becomes a powerful force rather than a weakness. The world needs kindness. There's no doubt about that. But it needs kindness that is rooted in strength, not in fear. It needs people who can stand tall in their truth, who can offer help and support without losing themselves in the process. It needs kindness that challenges, that pushes boundaries, that makes people think and grow. So be kind, but not at the expense of your strength. Be kind, but don't let it make you weak. Because the world doesn't need you to be agreeable. It needs you to be strong. Standing firm in your beliefs is not a matter of stubbornness or pride, but rather a deep-rooted understanding of who you are and what you stand for. In a world where opinions, trends, and expectations are constantly changing, remaining steadfast in your convictions can seem like an impossible task. Yet, it's precisely this ability to stay grounded in your core values that defines your character, shapes your destiny, and sets you apart from those who simply go with the flow. To stand firm in your beliefs is to be anchored in something greater than the momentary opinions of others. It requires a clarity of purpose and a strong sense of self. We live in a society that often rewards conformity, a world that tells you to follow the crowd, to keep your head down, and to blend in. But the truth is, greatness is rarely achieved by those who fit neatly into the boxes that society has created. True greatness comes from those who are willing to stand for something, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's unpopular, and especially when it's difficult. When you stand firm in your beliefs, you are declaring to the world that you know who you are, and that you won't be swayed by external pressures. This is not an easy stance to take, particularly when the voices around you are loud and insistent, telling you that you should think a certain way, behave a certain way, or live a certain way. But if you constantly allow yourself to be moved by the opinions of others, you lose a little bit of yourself each time. Over time, you become a reflection of everyone else's ideas rather than the embodiment of your own. It's important to understand that standing firm in your beliefs doesn't mean shutting yourself off from new information or refusing to grow. Growth is essential to personal development, and part of standing firm is knowing when to reevaluate your beliefs in the light of new experiences and knowledge. However, growth should not be confused with abandoning your principles. True growth is about building on the foundation of your beliefs, not tearing them down every time a new idea comes along. To stand firm, you must first take the time to understand your own beliefs. Many people go through life holding on to ideas and values that they have never questioned or truly understood. They adopt the beliefs of their family, their culture, or their friends without ever asking themselves if those beliefs truly resonate with who they are. To stand firm, you must engage in deep reflection and ask yourself, what do I truly believe in? What are the principles that guide my life? What values are non-negotiable for me? Only when you have a clear understanding of your core beliefs can you begin to stand firm in them. Once you know what you believe, the next challenge is to remain committed to those beliefs even when it's not easy. Life will test you. There will be moments when standing firm in your beliefs requires sacrifice. You may face criticism, judgment, or even rejection from others. There may be times when holding on to your principles means walking away from an opportunity or standing alone in a crowd. But this is where true strength is revealed. It's easy to stand firm when everyone agrees with you. The real test comes when you're the only one holding the line. In these moments of testing, it's important to remember why you hold the beliefs you do. Your values are not just abstract concepts, they are the foundation of your character and the guiding force behind your actions. When you are tempted to waver, when the pressure to conform feels overwhelming, remind yourself of what's at stake. Are you willing to compromise your integrity for temporary approval? Are you willing to sacrifice your principles for the sake of convenience? In the end, the respect you gain from standing firm far outweighs any fleeting approval you might receive from going along with the crowd. It's also essential to recognize that standing firm in your beliefs doesn't mean being rigid or inflexible. There is a difference between standing firm and being stubborn. Stubbornness is rooted in ego and the fear of being wrong, whereas standing firm is rooted in a deep understanding of your values and a willingness to stand by them even in the face of opposition. Being firm in your beliefs doesn't mean shutting down dialogue or refusing to listen to others. In fact, it's the opposite. When you are truly confident in your beliefs, you are more open to hearing different perspectives because you know that your sense of self is not threatened by someone else's opinion. But standing firm also means knowing when to draw the line. There will be times when people will try to persuade you to abandon your principles, to compromise in ways that feel wrong to you. This is where boundaries come into play. Part of standing firm is being able to say, "This is where I stand, and I will not be moved." This kind of strength comes from knowing yourself and having the courage to defend your values, even when it's uncomfortable or unpopular. In a world that is constantly changing, standing firm in your beliefs gives you a sense of stability and purpose. It provides you with a moral compass, guiding your decisions and actions. It allows you to live a life of integrity where your words and actions are aligned with your values. And perhaps most importantly, it earns you the respect of others. People may not always agree with you, but they will respect you for standing by your convictions. In a world where so many are willing to bend with the slightest breeze, there is something undeniably powerful about someone who stands firm in what they believe. At the end of the day, standing firm in your beliefs is about living a life of authenticity. It's about being true to yourself, even when the world around you is telling you to be someone else. It's about having the courage to hold on to your values, even when it's difficult. And it's about understanding that the strength of your character is defined not by how easily you can adapt to the opinions of others, but by how unwaveringly you can stand in your truth. Life is a series of tests. The world around you, from the moment you step into it, is constantly challenging you in ways you may not always recognize. Sometimes the challenges are clear and direct, like overcoming a setback, losing a loved one, or facing a failure. Other times, the tests are more subtle, hiding in the everyday struggles and small decisions that define who you are. One thing is certain: the world will test you. It will push you to your limits, force you to question your beliefs, and demand that you prove your strength, resilience, and character. And it won't just test you once. These tests will come repeatedly, often when you least expect them. In life, no one gets a free pass. There is no path that avoids difficulty or pain. The world is not designed to make things easy for you, and no amount of preparation can shield you from life's inevitable challenges. That is why you must understand that life's tests are not meant to break you, but to shape you. They are opportunities, even if they don't always feel like it in the moment, to discover what you're truly made of. The world will push you to your breaking point, but that's where growth happens. It's when you're tested that you learn the most about yourself, about your strength, your endurance, and your ability to persevere. When you're faced with a test, especially one that seems overwhelming, it's natural to question why it's happening to you. Why is life so hard? Why does it feel like the universe is against you? These are questions everyone grapples with at some point. But what separates those who thrive from those who falter is perspective. The strongest people aren't the ones who avoid hardship, they're the ones who embrace it, who look at life's tests not as curses, but as opportunities to grow and improve. Every test you encounter in life has the potential to teach you something valuable, whether it's a personal loss, a professional failure, or a relationship breakdown. Each test holds within it the seeds of wisdom. These lessons often aren't apparent right away. In the moment, all you feel is the pain, the disappointment, the frustration. But once you've come through the other side, you can look back and see how the test made you stronger. It taught you patience, humility, resilience, or the importance of setting boundaries. It showed you how to stand tall in the face of adversity or how to rebuild after everything has fallen apart. The key to navigating the world's tests is to realize that they are temporary. No matter how difficult or painful a situation may be, it will pass. The problem is that when we're in the middle of a test, it often feels like it will last forever. But nothing lasts forever, neither the good times nor the bad times. Understanding this can give you the strength to endure. It can help you keep going when everything in you wants to give up. Because the truth is, no test lasts indefinitely. Eventually, the storm passes, and what's left is the person you become as a result of weathering it. The world will test you in ways that you never imagined. Sometimes the tests come from external circumstances, losing a job, facing financial difficulties, or enduring a health crisis. Other times, the tests come from within, forcing you to confront your own fears, insecurities, and doubts. The latter can be the hardest tests of all because they require you to face parts of yourself that you may have been avoiding. The world will test your confidence, your self-worth, and your belief in your own abilities. It will challenge you to rise above the negative voices in your head that tell you that you're not good enough, not smart enough, or not worthy enough. And it's in these moments when the world is testing your internal strength that you have to dig deep and remind yourself of who you are. Tests in life don't always come with warnings. They often show up when you're least prepared, when you're feeling comfortable and secure. That's the thing about life, it doesn't wait until you're ready. The world will throw challenges at you when you think you've got everything figured out, when you're at the top of your game. And in those moments, it's easy to feel blindsided, to wonder why, just when things were going well, you're suddenly facing a mountain of obstacles. But it's important to remember that life's tests aren't designed to keep you down. They're there to keep you moving forward. Complacency is the enemy of progress, and sometimes the only way to grow is by being pushed out of your comfort zone. The world doesn't care about your plans, your timeline, or your preferences. Life's tests come when they come, and it's up to you to respond. Will you crumble under the pressure, or will you rise to the challenge? The choice is yours. The strongest people aren't the ones who have never faced hardship, they're the ones who faced it head on and refused to be defeated by it. They're the ones who saw the test for what it was, a chance to prove to themselves just how strong they really are. The world will test you, but it's not trying to destroy you, it's trying to reveal you. Every time you face a challenge, you are given an opportunity to become more of who you truly are. You are given a chance to let go of the things that no longer serve you, to shed the layers of fear and self-doubt that have been holding you back. Life's tests push you to evolve, to grow into the person you were always meant to be. And while it may be uncomfortable, while it may hurt, it's in these moments of testing that you discover your true potential. So when the world tests you, don't shy away from it. Don't avoid the pain or run from the difficulty. Embrace it. Face it head on with the knowledge that you are stronger than any test life throws your way. Remember that every challenge is temporary, but the strength and wisdom you gain from overcoming it will stay with you for the rest of your life. The world will test you, but you will rise. And in the end, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient than you ever thought possible. Setting boundaries is one of the most crucial and often overlooked aspects of maintaining a balanced and fulfilling life. It's a concept that seems simple in theory, but can be challenging to put into practice. Yet, without boundaries, life can become overwhelming, chaotic, and draining. Setting boundaries is not about pushing people away or creating walls between yourself and others. Instead, it's about establishing healthy limits that protect your well-being, honor your values, and ensure that you're not overextending yourself to the point of exhaustion or resentment. Boundaries are essential for living a life of integrity and self-respect. At its core, setting boundaries is about defining where you end and others begin. It's about clearly communicating your needs, limits, and expectations to the people around you, whether they are friends, family, colleagues, or even strangers. Boundaries are about taking ownership of your time, energy, and emotional space, ensuring that you are not constantly giving more than you have to offer. When you fail to set boundaries, you risk losing touch with your own needs, becoming overwhelmed by the demands of others, and ultimately feeling depleted and disconnected from yourself. One of the most common reasons people struggle to set boundaries is the fear of being perceived as unkind, selfish, or uncooperative. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that being a good person means always saying yes, always being available, and never letting others down. But this is a dangerous mindset because it puts your own well-being at risk. If you're constantly prioritizing the needs of others over your own, you'll eventually reach a point where you have nothing left to give. Setting boundaries is not about being selfish, it's about self-preservation. It's about recognizing that you have limits and that it's okay to honor those limits without guilt. Setting boundaries also requires a deep understanding of your own values and priorities. Before you can communicate your boundaries to others, you need to be clear about what's important to you and what you're willing and able to give. This means taking the time to reflect on your own needs, whether they are physical, emotional, or mental. What do you need to feel rested, fulfilled, and energized? What drains your energy or causes you stress? These are the questions you need to ask yourself when determining where your boundaries should be drawn. Once you've identified your boundaries, the next step is learning to communicate them effectively. This can be difficult, especially if you're not used to asserting your needs or if you're afraid of conflict. But the truth is, setting boundaries doesn't have to be confrontational. In fact, the more calmly and clearly you communicate your boundaries, the more likely others are to respect them. You don't need to apologize or over-explain. A simple statement like, "I'm not available for that right now," or "I need some time to myself," is often enough. The key is to be firm and consistent. If you waver or allow others to push your boundaries, they'll continue to test them. It's also important to recognize that not everyone will respond positively to your boundaries, especially if they're used to you being overly accommodating or always available. Some people may push back, try to guilt you into changing your mind, or even get upset. This is where the challenge of boundary setting really comes into play. You have to be willing to stand firm, even in the face of resistance. Remember, setting boundaries is not about controlling how others feel, it's about protecting your own well-being. If someone reacts negatively to your boundary, that's their issue to deal with, not yours. Setting boundaries is particularly crucial in relationships, whether they are personal or professional. In friendships, for example, you may need to set boundaries around how much time you're willing to spend together or how much emotional support you can offer. In romantic relationships, boundaries might involve discussing how much space you need, what behaviors are unacceptable, or how you want to communicate. In the workplace, boundaries could involve defining your workload, refusing to take on tasks that are outside of your role, or setting limits on how available you are after hours. Without clear boundaries, relationships can become unhealthy and unbalanced. You may find yourself feeling resentful, frustrated, or taken advantage of. This is why it's so important to establish boundaries early on in any relationship. When both parties understand each other's limits and expectations, there's less room for misunderstanding and resentment. Boundaries create a framework for mutual respect, trust, and understanding. Another key aspect of setting boundaries is learning to say no. This is something that many people struggle with because saying no can feel uncomfortable or even rude. But saying no is one of the most powerful tools you have when it comes to protecting your boundaries. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you can't or won't do something. No is a complete sentence. It's a way of honoring your own time and energy and ensuring that you're not stretching yourself too thin. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person, it makes you a person who values their own well-being. Setting boundaries also means being mindful of the energy you allow into your life. This includes the people you surround yourself with. If someone consistently disrespects your boundaries or drains your energy, it may be time to reevaluate that relationship. You have the right to distance yourself from people who don't respect your limits or who take more than they give. Protecting your emotional and mental health is just as important as protecting your physical health. Lastly, setting boundaries is not a one-time act. It's an ongoing process that requires regular maintenance and adjustment. As you grow and change, your boundaries may need to shift as well. What worked for you at one point in your life may no longer serve you, and that's okay. The important thing is to remain aware of your needs and to communicate them clearly and confidently. Setting boundaries is an act of self-love and self-respect. It's about creating a life that honors who you are and what you need to thrive. In the end, setting boundaries is about reclaiming your power and taking control of your life. It's about recognizing that you are not responsible for meeting everyone else's needs at the expense of your own. You have the right to protect your energy, time, and well-being, and to live a life that is aligned with your values. When you set boundaries, you are not just protecting yourself, you are teaching others how to treat you with respect and dignity. Boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges to healthier, happier, and more authentic relationships. Being honest and bold is a combination of two traits that can transform your life, relationships, and career. Honesty, the foundation of integrity, allows you to live a life of truth and transparency. Boldness, on the other hand, is about having the courage to stand up for what you believe in, even when it's uncomfortable or risky. Together, they form a powerful approach to life, one where you live authentically, confront challenges head-on, and inspire others through your actions. However, living a life that is both honest and bold is not always easy. It requires strength, self-awareness, and the willingness to face potential consequences. Honesty begins with yourself. Before you can be honest with others, you need to be truthful about who you are, what you want, and where you stand. This level of self-awareness is crucial because, without it, you can easily fall into the trap of self-deception. Many people go through life telling themselves stories to avoid facing uncomfortable truths. They pretend they're happy in a job they hate, that a toxic relationship is acceptable, or that they're fine with situations that clearly don't align with their values. This kind of dishonesty keeps you stuck in patterns that prevent you from growing and reaching your full potential. To live honestly, you must first confront the truths you've been avoiding. This could mean admitting that certain habits or relationships are unhealthy, that you've been holding on to limiting beliefs, or that you're not pursuing your true passions. Once you've acknowledged these truths, you can begin the process of change. Being honest with yourself is the first step toward creating a life that reflects your true desires and values. Being honest with others is equally important, but it can also be more challenging. Often people avoid being fully truthful because they fear hurting someone's feelings, causing conflict, or facing rejection. While these concerns are valid, withholding the truth does more harm than good in the long run. When you're not honest with others, you create a barrier between yourself and them, making it impossible to build genuine relationships. You end up sacrificing your authenticity, and eventually this leads to resentment, frustration, and disconnection. True honesty with others requires vulnerability. It means being willing to speak your truth, even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. It could be as simple as telling a friend that their behavior is hurtful, or as complex as admitting you're unhappy in a relationship. Honesty doesn't mean being harsh or cruel. It's about expressing your truth with kindness, respect, and empathy. When you're honest, you're giving others the opportunity to respond to the real you, not a version of yourself that's been edited to avoid discomfort. Boldness is what gives honesty its power. Being bold means having the courage to act on your truth, even when it's risky. It's easy to be honest in safe, comfortable situations, but real boldness comes into play when there's something on the line: your reputation, a relationship, or your job. Boldness pushes you to stand up for what you believe in, speak out against injustice, and pursue your dreams, even when the odds are stacked against you. Living boldly requires you to step out of your comfort zone. It's about taking risks, knowing that failure or criticism is a possibility, but not letting that stop you. Boldness doesn't mean being reckless or acting without thought. It means weighing the risks and rewards, and then moving forward with confidence. Being bold is about taking ownership of your life and recognizing that, while you can't control everything, you can control your actions, choices, and attitude. One of the most powerful aspects of being bold is the impact it has on others. When you live boldly, you inspire those around you to do the same. People admire and are drawn to individuals who live with courage and conviction. Your boldness can encourage others to break free from their own fears, pursue their dreams, and stand up for what they believe in. Boldness creates a ripple effect, spreading confidence and empowerment to those who witness it. However, boldness doesn't mean being aggressive or domineering. It's not about forcing your will on others or acting without regard for their feelings. True boldness is rooted in confidence, not arrogance. It's about knowing your worth, believing in your ideas, and having the courage to express them. Boldness is a form of leadership where you lead by example, showing others what it means to live authentically and fearlessly. One of the most difficult aspects of being both honest and bold is the possibility of facing resistance. Not everyone will appreciate your honesty, and some may be uncomfortable with your boldness. You might encounter criticism, pushback, or even rejection, but that's part of the process. Not everyone will agree with your truth, and not everyone will be on board with your boldness. That's okay. The goal is not to please everyone, it's to live in alignment with your values and to be true to yourself. The right people, those who respect and value your honesty and boldness, will gravitate toward you, while those who don't will fall away. In a world that often encourages conformity and playing it safe, being honest and bold sets you apart. It requires you to trust yourself, believe in your abilities, and take responsibility for your life. It's about not waiting for permission to pursue your dreams or speak your truth. Instead, you take action, make decisions, and live with purpose. Honesty and boldness are the keys to living a life of integrity, where your actions are in line with your values and your words reflect your truth. Moreover, being bold and honest doesn't just benefit you, it benefits the world around you. When you live in alignment with your truth and act with courage, you contribute to creating a more honest, authentic, and courageous world. You give others permission to do the same, to live their lives without fear of judgment, and to pursue their passions with confidence. In the end, honesty and boldness are about freedom. The freedom to be who you are, to express yourself fully, and to live without fear of judgment or rejection. It's about taking control of your life and refusing to be defined by the expectations or opinions of others. When you are both honest and bold, you are living life on your own terms. You are writing your own story, and in doing so, you inspire others to do the same. Living this way is not always easy, but it is always worth it. It's how you create a life of meaning, fulfillment, and impact. Living with purpose, rather than being consumed by the desire to be nice, is a powerful mindset that can transform the way you approach life. Niceness, often confused with kindness or compassion, is a superficial quality that can sometimes lead to a passive existence, where you prioritize the comfort of others over your own deeper needs and values. Purpose, on the other hand, is about living with intention, clarity, and a focus on what truly matters to you. It's about directing your life in a way that aligns with your values, beliefs, and goals, rather than merely trying to avoid conflict or please others. The desire to be nice often stems from the need for acceptance or approval. Many of us are taught from a young age that being nice is a virtue, that we should always aim to keep the peace, avoid confrontation, and make everyone around us comfortable. While there is value in being considerate of others, niceness can become a trap when it starts to conflict with your deeper sense of purpose. Niceness, when overemphasized, can lead to inauthenticity, people-pleasing, and a failure to assert your own needs and boundaries. When you prioritize being nice over being true to yourself, you end up sacrificing your own growth and potential for the sake of avoiding discomfort or disagreement. Living with purpose means that you are guided by a clear sense of direction. You know what you stand for, what you want to achieve, and what kind of person you want to become. When you live with purpose, your actions are aligned with your values and you make decisions based on what's right for you, not on what will make others happy in the moment. Purpose drives you forward, giving you the motivation to overcome obstacles, stay focused on your goals, and remain true to yourself, even when it's challenging. One of the main differences between living with purpose and living to be nice is how you respond to difficult situations. When your primary goal is to be nice, you may avoid saying what needs to be said, setting boundaries, or standing up for yourself because you don't want to upset anyone. You might stay silent in the face of injustice, go along with decisions that don't feel right, or tolerate behavior that disrespects your boundaries, all in the name of being agreeable. But living with purpose requires a different approach. It demands that you speak your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It means making decisions that align with your values, even if it leads to conflict or disappointment from others. Living with purpose does not mean being unkind or inconsiderate. It's about finding a balance between compassion and conviction. You can care for others while still being firm in your beliefs and clear about your goals. Purposeful living is about recognizing that sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is to be honest, direct, and unwavering in your principles. When you live with purpose, you don't sacrifice your integrity to make others feel good temporarily. Instead, you focus on the long-term impact of your actions, understanding that true kindness often involves being truthful, even when the truth is hard to hear. When you live with purpose, you also develop a sense of resilience and inner strength. Niceness, when it's your primary focus, can make you fragile, always concerned about how others perceive you, always seeking approval, and constantly avoiding confrontation. This mindset can make you feel powerless and dependent on the opinions of others. But purpose gives you a different kind of power. It's a power rooted in self-confidence and self-awareness. You know who you are, what you stand for, and what you're working toward. You're not swayed by every criticism or slight, because your sense of worth doesn't come from how others perceive you, it comes from your dedication to your values and your goals. One of the greatest benefits of living with purpose is the sense of fulfillment it brings. Niceness may earn you temporary approval or make others comfortable, but it often leaves you feeling empty or unfulfilled. When your life is driven by the need to please others, you're not living for yourself, and that can lead to a deep sense of dissatisfaction. Purpose, however, provides meaning and direction. When you're living with purpose, you're working towards something greater than yourself, whether it's personal growth, making a positive impact on the world, or achieving your dreams. This sense of purpose gives your life depth and significance, something that niceness alone can never provide. Moreover, when you live with purpose, you attract people who share your values and support your goals. Being nice may win you friends in the short term, but those relationships are often shallow, based on a surface-level desire to avoid conflict or disagreement. Purposeful living, however, brings authenticity into your relationships. You surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries, appreciate your honesty, and share your vision for the future. These relationships are deeper, more meaningful, and more resilient because they are built on mutual respect and shared values, not on the avoidance of discomfort. Living with purpose also means being willing to embrace discomfort. Niceness often leads to a fear of conflict or challenge, but living with purpose requires you to confront difficulties head-on. When you have a clear sense of purpose, you're willing to take risks, make sacrifices, and endure hardships because you know they're necessary for growth and progress. You understand that discomfort is part of the process, and you're willing to face it in order to achieve your goals. This mindset leads to personal growth, as each challenge you overcome strengthens your sense of purpose and resilience. In the end, living with purpose rather than niceness is about choosing authenticity over approval, meaning over comfort, and long-term fulfillment over short-term peace. It's about recognizing that while being kind and considerate is important, it should never come at the cost of your integrity, goals, or values. Living with purpose gives your life direction, meaning, and depth. It allows you to make decisions that are true to who you are, rather than decisions that simply keep others happy. Purposeful living isn't always easy, but it is always rewarding, because it leads to a life that is truly your own, a life lived with intention, authenticity, and impact. By focusing on your purpose, you not only improve your own life, but also have a more meaningful impact on those around you. You become a role model of strength, conviction, and authenticity, showing others what it means to live a life that is true to one's values. In a world that often values niceness over substance, living with purpose sets you apart as someone who is willing to stand firm in their beliefs and pursue what truly matters.